Hello there, we are back. Thank you for your patience with us. Come back into the classroom, get comfortable. I have so much to share with you. Thank you for being here. If you are here on YouTube and you want to chat with me, give me a little love, let me know where you're coming in from. If you perched and comfortable and watching from Black Campaign School, welcome. Thank you for being here. I've been thinking about this all day, and so I'm seeing that Tuesday is really about to become some of my most favorite days of the week. So this is totally new for me. I have never done anything like this before, and so it's really exciting to try to get to you wherever you are, to imagine you all over the country tuning in together. And so thank you for your patience and for just rocking with me in this time. We were talking about running to win. So we're going to talk about electoral justice throughout the summer, every Tuesday here at 7. And tonight we are talking about the candidates on the ballot. So let's get into it. We are going to talk about the brass tacks. This is where I was going. We're going to talk about these tactics that are tried and true. I'm going to share how to create a structure for your campaign that is winning. But before we get into that, I want to be really clear about what I really know is the secret sauce of running campaigns and winning elected office. And that's a winning energy. That is a winning energy. It sounds so corny, maybe even romantic, very Jessica Bird, but campaigns are the ultimate act of faith in politics. It is an opportunity for you to say, I believe in something. Not only am I going to set a goal, but I don't know the outcome. What I'm going to do is go as quickly towards my goal as possible. And there's nothing really more vulnerable than raising your hand, putting your name on the ballot, and then asking people over and over and over again to vote for you, to create a vote of faith for you. And so elected office is a really powerful opportunity for us to build power in our communities in a traditional way. But if you're like me and you want to build power regardless of the win, if you see every opportunity as a vehicle for the people, then having a winning energy, saying, we're going to win this, and not only are we going to win it, but we're going to leave something behind that multiplies over time. And that winning energy comes from leadership. It comes from the vision. It comes from the strategy set forth. We are currently in this moment where people are hyper-analyzing Mayor Mamdani, hyper-analyzing candidates who are successful, whose people and constituents actually like them and care about them. And there's actually not so much of a secret, which is that they care about the people back. They have a winning energy. They're giving you something to believe in. They're making you want to take action and move forward together as a collective. That's not easy to do. And the leaders of this moment will be able to bring a winning energy to all of our big battles. And so we're going to get into how to write a plan and lead to win. But I want you to imagine that throughout is a belief system, that it is our job to inspire action, that it is our job to make people believe in something that they may not be able to see. What y'all think about that? Maybe? All right, let's keep going. I know that I have folks watching from all over the country, in particular Ohio. I know my family's watching, so big love to my godmother. I heard that Maggie and Carter are doing hair right now, so shout out to Carter. Shout out to Maggie and everyone who makes Black Campaign School possible. All right. Let us get started. All right, running to win. So I'm going to talk in 4 parts today. Writing your plan, building your team, expanding the base. We'll talk about the base, expanding your voters, and running to win and to lead. It's not just about the win, it's also about the opportunity to govern, right? And this is the second in a summer series. You can find me here every single Tuesday. Today is Running to Win. Next week is the State of Black Voters. So come back here. I want to see you. I want you to bring a friend. And we're going to start where we left off last week, talking about the system. If you're in Black movement, if you're in the social change space, if you just believe that you have the power to change your community, then you're talking about the system. And the people around you are talking about the system. And they're saying things to you like, I mean, the system did that. I don't know, the system. And we hear this over and over again. And sometimes as change agents and believers and true believers, we have to hold that there is absolutely a system. We didn't make it. It wasn't designed for us to lead and to contribute, but we've been disrupting it and navigating it. And by learning it and leading it, we do have the opportunity over time to evolve it and even transform it. And so go back to Electoral Justice for the 22nd Century. You could see it on our YouTube. And I talk a little bit more about the system. I talk about the two branches of government, etc. But I want to remind us consistently that we are absolutely working within it. And the one that we're going to talk about tonight and throughout this summer for Black Campaign School is our political system. Our political system set out by the founders 250 years ago that sets up three branches of government: our legislative branch, our executive branch, and our judicial branch. And in each part of these branches, there are elected leaders. In many states around the country, our judges are even elected. Now, our Supreme Court isn't, but we know that as it has become more and more politicized, that it does not matter whether you're working in the judicial system or in the legislative branch, you are still inside the two-party system and the U.S. political system. So I'm going to say this every single time. We have an upcoming election. We are now about 99 days until November 3rd, where all voters have the opportunity to vote. We know that voting is not the end game, but look at these opportunities. We have huge opportunities. Although many of states have already voted, there are still upcoming primaries. And a primary is really an intra-family battle where people debate ideas. And so we know this time next week, Michigan, Virginia, Washington, Kansas, and Missouri will be voting. A Thursday vote is Tennessee in August 6th. And so keep watch of these. Find a news station. Make sure that you are following candidates in these places. There are so many people who are managing campaigns, working on campaigns, and just sending you a lot of love, encouragement. And what I hope that I can do tonight is, if you are running on the ballot in November, is to give you an opportunity to step back and to see where you are. July is a really important time in campaigns. Yes, it is the last day or so of July. But we are still in the middle of the summer. And by Labor Day is when a campaign has really cooked its strategy. You've baked it. You're putting your cake in the oven. And it's those September and October where you are turning out voters to early vote, where you are engaging your super voters, where you're running your GOTV plan. And so it is this time, right in the middle of the summer, where you have the opportunity to pivot, to shift strategy if needed. And so I hope that you will consider that as you listen. And electoral justice, good old electoral justice. When I started working in campaigns, I was so frustrated by the two-party system and by the binary that keeps us in these conversations that aren't about ideas or transformation, but just about throwing a ball back and forth across a red to blue field. Electoral justice takes the long view. It says that elections are an opportunity to utilize the system to achieve long-term social and civic transformation. I had the opportunity of leading in the movement for Black lives around this concept and framework. I spent 10 years offering interventions and experiments on how we can hold both a people-powered, Black-centered values with opportunities on the ballot that can sometimes feel transactional, but are an opportunity for us to reduce harm. And so that's what electoral justice is about. It says that when we all take action for the collective, that we have the opportunity to reduce harm. We have the opportunity to talk to our people, to share a message, to really measure where people are, what they're thinking about. It's really an opportunity to do a poll on some of our biggest issues. We know it's an opportunity to advance leaders who we believe should represent us. It's about utilizing the election economy. Hundreds of millions of dollars are going to be spent, have already been spent. They'll be spent this November, and we know that over the next 2 years, billions of dollars will be spent in the election economy. By us having the knowledge about how that money is spent, what the national priorities are, we can utilize those resources for our people. And that's so important that we're consistently, strategically thinking about how more people can participate. More power to the people, all power to the people. That's what electoral justice is about. And the central questions of this summer and the summer series. 1, what did we learn from the last decade of social transformation? Again, you can go back to electoral justice for the 22nd century, where I really name some of the interventions that I believe made the last decade of Black movement and Black leadership absolutely transformational. I believe that between 2012 and 2022, there was a Black political renaissance where people, using every single lever, were working towards racial justice and protecting and defending Black people. I think that's amazing. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of my contributions. I'm proud of my colleagues and the work that we did. And Black Campaign School is going to be an opportunity to share some of those tactics, share those stories. And I hope that you will do your own reflecting here. What have you been up to? What was 2020 about for you? What was 2016 about for you? What was 2024 in the last 2 years about? And as you're sitting here inside of an election cycle where it seems like, because you're here on a Tuesday, that you may have a big assignment. So what is this moment about? And what's the next decade about? What I found is that I could not move forward in this moment without looking back and making some decisions about what I learned, what I thought really worked, and what I wanted to bring with me. And so I'm going to continue to share that every Tuesday, and I encourage you to get in your mastery. This is an opportunity to let that nerd flag fly and really say, yeah, I'm trying to master elections. I'm trying to master leadership and organizing. There is nothing wrong with that. And the more power you have, the more power our people have, and that's a good thing. The second part of this series is about really tapping in with the state of Black America. In our first class, I go a little bit deeper in some research about the state of Black America, and I'll continue to weave in what I'm learning about what our people are saying, how our people are doing. What do you think? How are folks doing? How are folks around you doing? Not just voters, but Black people, your family, your neighbors. There's a lot of polls, there are a lot of research. Are they measuring the things that your people care about? If not, how are we going to get that information? The world has completely transformed since the pandemic and since COVID. And that means our outreach strategies have transformed. It is not enough to just tell people what to do, give people information. The best part about organizing is knowing and serving the people. The best part about organizing is knowing and serving the people. So how are Black people doing? Next week, I'm going to get into the state of Black voters. And so tonight is about Black leadership. But Black America is in a place right now where we are over-delivering electorally. We are continuing to show up with 60 and over 60% of voter participation. We are working towards parity in many places, where, like Congress, where nearly 15% of legislative leaders in Congress are Black. That nearly matches the population. I'm not saying that's enough, but I'm saying that's our work. We've been doing that. But as the world is shifting, what does that mean about our tactics now? What does that mean about our messaging? And how can we weave that into our strategy and the way that we're talking to our folks? Y'all with me? I can feel you. All right, let's keep going. So these are our opportunities for November 3rd and beyond. We got 4 seats needed in order to have Democratic control of the United States Senate. Look, electoral justice says that the blue map having control of the U.S. Senate is not the North Star, okay? The Dems having control of Congress and Senate for electoral justice is not the North Star. A transformative democracy where all people can contribute is the North Star. But in our current conditions, we know that people are suffering. We know that people need relief. We know that we have the opportunity to reduce harm. And so that means that thinking about these 4 seats is vital. Check out the map from my last class in order to see where those seats are. We got 3 seats for U.S. control of the Congress, the people who pass the budget. We just need 3, okay? We have over 200 state opportunities. That's governors, lieutenant governors, secretaries of states. There are thousands of local leaders. If you are watching this, you may be one of them. You have the opportunity to carry some water and make things happen for your community. We need you, and we need voters to vote for you. We know that November 3rd is an opportunity to set the stage for 2028. All of the power that we build now is power that we get to multiply and exercise as we move towards the presidential election. We want to protect and encourage voters, and our opportunity this upcoming election is to talk about safety and voter protection in a way that really matches this moment. Everyone is talking about right now how hard it is to vote. But is that winning energy? Is that the energy that's needed in order to get people to get through their day and to fight to vote? No. We're going to have to do way more than talk about how the Republicans and Donald Trump have created all sorts of barriers to voting. That's absolutely true. But it's going to be our job to get people to fight through those barriers, to protect their vote once they get there, and to really inspire their action. And so we can do that. We can build energy. And electoral justice says, hey, if you take this action with me now, we're going to see some results. But if you take several actions with me into the future, we can really see change. Okay. Let's talk about running for office. Let's talk about running for office. I see y'all coming in here. Welcome to Black Campaign School. Thank you for joining me. I have always thought about running for office as applying for a job. Now, it's a different type of job than the one that you may have gone to school for. And every single job is different. But there are 50,000 elected seats across the country. 50,000. And they're doing all sorts of things. They're managing our local governments. They're managing our water. They're managing our land, our electricity. Every single thing about our daily life, there's a person that's overseeing the administration and the rules of that. So what assignment are you looking for? If you're here, if you're watching, then there is something that's calling you, saying that you can lead and represent the people. So what are you trying to win for the people? This is going to help you understand the type of job you want to apply for. Over the years, I've had the privilege of serving hundreds of candidates, training thousands of candidates, and so many times people will approach me saying that they want to lead, that they want to do something. But the office that they want to run for doesn't actually match the job the office that they are running for doesn't actually match the thing that they want to get done. And so, as an example, if you really care about policing, if you really care about the police budget, then you are going to want to run for city council, even for mayor. You're going to want to run for the people that oversee the budget of the city or the budget of the community that you're in and oversee the police. If you care about ensuring accountability, then you're going to want to make sure that you are running for a seat that actually has an accountability in its job and checks and balances in its job. If you hate to negotiate, if you don't like compromise at all, then you're not going to want to go to a legislative seat where what you're going to have to do is continuously be debating on behalf of the people. So I want you to think about this. This is incredibly, incredibly important. And if you're currently running and you feel like the people who you need to vote for you don't quite understand what you do, you got to break it down. This is what the city treasurer does. This is what the comptroller does. This is what the compliance manager does, or the dog catcher, which there really are dog catcher seats, which is so wild. There really are elected sheriff seats, and so you're going to want to know. And this is an opportunity for you to do some reflecting. What are you applying for? What are the qualifications? I want you to think about how you are going to address the problems that are keeping people up at night. What are you saying you are going to fix? Just, I'm better than that person, that's not going to fly. And if you're running for office right now, think about how much you're talking about your opponent versus how much you are talking about the future and what you all are building together. What is keeping people up at night? We're going to talk about some strategies to ensure that we're clocking this. But this is incredibly important to know. You don't get to just run for what you want to run for. You're running to serve. And knowing what is making people worried is also what's going to inspire them to action. I want you to know about the rules and the culture of the campaign. Over the next couple of slides, I'm going to lay out how to start your campaign plan. Your campaign plan is entirely moved through the prism of where you live and where you're running. And so what are the rules? And there are specific rules that are going to shape the administrative tasks that you need for running for office. But the culture is going to shape the strategy. An example, some places will, the candidate has to go to every single parade. If they don't go to certain parades, people will assume that they do not love the people. In other places, there is one specific place per district or per community. Knowing those things. In some races that I've worked on, negative campaigning is completely frowned upon. If you talk negatively about your opponent, people do not like that. And that's totally based on the culture of the place. Whereas there are other places where there's an assumption you are slinging as much mud and connecting as many punches as possible. You knowing that is going to shape the tone and the tenor. And then what are the time, people, money, resources that you need to win? So this is where you're going to start your campaign plan. So before we talk there, I want to acknowledge that there are huge structural barriers to running for office, in particular for Black candidates. Anyone that isn't a white man who has like an institutional family and, it comes from a certain background, it is tough. Our system was not made or designed for people who truly represent their communities. It was designed for a very specific profile to have an old boys club, and that's what oftentimes we imagine. The strategy and where it gets good to be an electoral practitioner is consistently working to disrupt that system by knowing what you're working within. So look, you know you want to run for office. You're going to start to make your campaign plan. And in that plan are going to be a lot of things that you can prepare for. But what you can't prepare for are gatekeepers. You can't necessarily prepare for all the haters who are going to be looking for you and undermining you and lying about you. You may not be able to prepare for the level of racism and attacks that you get from your opponent. This graphic shows a picture of election day. You may be able to prepare to get voters out, but you might not be able to anticipate every single way that they are kept from voting. These are structural barriers. You didn't make them. You can't necessarily solve them with your campaign, but you can plan for them. And it's so important as you get ready that you are holding the rules that you got to move by and the structure that you're navigating. I see y'all. Hey, hey, hey. Welcome. It's so good to have you. All right. So, your campaign plan. I feel like learning this, one, was where I knew that I wanted to make campaigning my professional work. Learning how to actually plan to win is how I started to really see the art and the science and the mastery of the work. And so I really encourage you to get nerdy with this. So many campaigns will skip this part. They will skip the campaign, the planning, and the really intentional steps. They're like, no, we know exactly what we need to do. We're going to get the people. We know the players. I'm going to raise the money. I have the idea of what I want to say. No worries, no worries. I have gone to campaign offices where I've been hired to support or to help, and there's a manager or a campaign director who's like, look, the plan is all right here. It's all right here. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. A campaign is a temporary, short-term organization. In many ways, it's a business. It contributes to the economy. You are hiring. You have all sorts of people who are connected to the ecosystem that you're making. And so you are going to want to anticipate your every move as much as possible. And writing your campaign plan not only makes your strategy way better, but it allows you to multiply yourself, and it allows you to prepare for the attacks that are surely going to come. Your campaign plan is about your offensive movements, your offensive tactics. But having an excellent plan allows you to be on the defensive. And it is the defensive where the battle, okay, where the actual strategy is really going to live. And you're going to want to be able to make nimble decisions. You're going to want to be able to make swift pivots as things happen, as you get attacked, as you see opportunities. And it's your plan that allows you to do this, okay? Okay. Y'all with me? Let's keep getting nerdy. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. So I want to make sure that we start from a place of information. There is a lot of information in the world. These are some of the places that I always start my planning process with, and I encourage you to put this through the prism of where you are, and you will add to this. If you are here with me and you can be in the chat, go ahead and write additional resources that you want our folks in our community, our Black Campaign School community, to have. But you are going to check out your Secretary of State's website, period. You're going to start there. Your Secretary of State's website is most likely going to manage and oversee the elections. All 50 states are a little bit different, which is also a part of the confusion. They want you to not fight for this information, but you're going to. Your Secretary of State's website has it. Your Board of Elections website has it. You're going to go to the FEC website, fec.gov. This is the Federal Elections Commission. Yes, we have a Republican White House and administration. Yes, they are doing all sorts of funny business, but it is still the place that administers the rules of elections, and you need to know them. So as you're watching your favorite show, as you are with, the squad that's helping you make these decisions, you're going to get inside these websites, you're going to look around, and you're going to start to gather the information that you need. I always start with just a Google Doc. I also encourage you to have a meeting where you've got scratch paper and flip chart paper everywhere, and you in real time are really looking for all of this information. It changes a lot. This is also intentional. The rules of your races change. The amount of signatures you might need, the cost to file might change. And so you're going to want to make sure, even if you ran 2 years ago, 6 years ago, yesterday, you're going to want to check back in and make sure that you can follow the rules, okay? You're going to check out Ballotpedia. There are local and national political organizations that share your values. You're going to want to check in with them. These are some of my faves. Run for something. If you are under the age of 40, Run for Something. You can get an endorsement from them. They have a lot of opportunities. Same Higher Heights for America is for Black women. The Collective PAC is for Black people. Human Rights Campaign and the Victory Fund are for queer and gay candidates. And so there are resources here where you can get training, etc. And I hope that you are going to continue to come back to Black Campaign School. I'm going to build this brick by brick so that you have an information station for electoral justice. And so as you are running, or if there are places you want me to dig deeper, please let me know, okay? And I would be remiss, and I wouldn't be me, if I didn't name that there are people in our community that have an incredible amount of information, and you got to get to it. And so our elders, our community champions, the people who have been carrying the water, who have been in every meeting, who have that institutional memory, keep them close. Start the campaign planning process with them, and remember that even though they're not always right, you don't always have to do what they say, that information makes up a bigger picture, okay? And now we dream. You're going to start your campaign planning process with visioning. What are you trying to do? What is this campaign actually about? This infrastructure can do so many things. And so whether you are planning for the future that you're not quite sure of, whether you know you're running in 2 years, I want you to pause. I want you to take an opportunity to really think about what you're trying to do. And every single decision that you make, everything that you're going to hear me talk about is about what you're actually trying to make happen, how you want people to feel, the legacy that you're leaving behind. That's what's so amazing about the vehicle of a campaign is, yes, it's about the candidate winning. It's about you getting to elected office, but you're about to go through a lot of activity with people. What do you want that to be like? That is what allows us to really start from where. And one of my favorite things to do is to set forth the headline that you want to see the day after Election Day. I had the privilege of serving as Stacey Abrams' deputy campaign manager twice in Georgia, in 2018 and in 2022. And years and years before she ever ran, we were visioning. She was obviously such an incredible genius strategist. She had been developing a 10-year plan to really transform Georgia and transform Georgia, but also to ensure that the maximum amount of voters could participate. And so we had been thinking about this picture of when she ran and how it would feel. And you'll see that this headline from The Nation is May 23rd, 2018, the day after she swept the 2018 primary. We won by nearly 70% of primary voters. She was surrounded by her family, her friends, her supporters. This is what it means to vision, is to see yourself in the future and to plan for that. So what's your headline? Who are you surrounded by? What are people saying about you? That's how you can really start to see yourself in the steps, because you are making a timeline. I loved learning when I was 17 years old that campaign managers take Election Day and they work their way backwards. This applies to so much of what you may be trying to win. Any sort of advocacy campaign. Shoot, an amazing event that you may want to deliver. But it certainly is for campaigners. You're going to take election day, November 3rd, 2026, 2028. Maybe it's your primary day, and you are going to take that day. And that is the day where every single thing about your strategy is made plain, where you can see the fruits of your labor. So what is it going to say that you've done? And you're going to work your way backwards. This timeline is obviously incredibly general. It is from July to November. But this is an opportunity for you to start to think about each, not just body of work, but how you're going to scale over time. So let's keep digging in. This is an example of a table of contents for a campaign plan that I have written and managed. You're going to see it has a lot of information. This is a big ass timeline. You're going to come back to this video as you are writing your plan, and you're going to take a look at this and peruse it. But what you're going to see is that your campaign plan includes all of the ingredients of a winning campaign. It is your research, it's your media, it's your message, it's all of your outreach strategies, it's your team, your budgeting, your fundraising, all of your outreach. This is another example of it. So this is a screenshot of a Google Drive for a campaign where you'll see that there are sections of your campaign, okay? This is to ensure that you have an archive of where you were trying to go. I talked earlier about July and about the middle of the summer. Your campaign plan being an organized place where you can come back to and say, are we where we need to be? So you're going to want to break it down. Each lane of work, comms, fundraising, etc. It needs a roadmap. How you going to do what you need to do? And the best part about the plan is that once you have it, it allows you to use it as a tool for many things. And I actually didn't know this until I started to do planning over and over again. So let me help you skip a couple steps, okay? You're going to make this plan. You're going to make your plan. You're going to do it in partnership with the people who know you and your district best, with your prospective campaign team. I'm going to talk about that in just a moment. Once you get that plan going, you're going to take that plan and you're going to break it down. So you're going to develop a 2-page memo. And guess what you're going to use that memo for? Getting funders, pitching, presenting to supporter organizations, presenting to other folks. You're going to keep breaking it down, and you're going to make partner documents. And then you're also going to take a look at the full breadth of your strategy and your campaign plan, and you're going to make an elevator pitch. Based on the 11,852 voters that I need, I'm going to build a team that looks like this. Each month of the summer, we're going to do XYZ PDQ. So with your support, I'll be able to win in November. Your campaign plan allows you to distill your strategy at every single step from the beginning. And one of the reasons why that's so important is because it moves fast. This is, like I said, a chance for you to be on the offensive. You are about to start getting hit by your opponents. There are going to be people who are undermining your strategy. They're throwing blocks in your path. Are you going to want to rewrite your strategy, come back to the drawing board every single time you have somebody who levels an attack at you? No. You are going to want to be in a position where you can make urgent decisions. And that's what being a good campaign manager and being a good candidate is all about. So look, this is an example. I made a campaign plan for the Electoral Justice Project of the Movement for Black Lives in 2016, 2017. And then I broke it down into a pitch deck. I ran around the country with Kayla Reed and Rekia Lumumba, and we organized movement around the idea of electoral strategy. We organized leaders, we organized orgs, we organized etc., etc. So this is an example of how your campaign plan can continue to support you and multiply you. Other resources, you're going to come back to this and dig in. But in your campaign plan, you're going to start with the rules. You have to know the rules. You have to know the rules where you're leading. You need to know the filing deadlines. A filing deadline is every single time you need to submit paperwork to the state, to the county, to the Board of Elections to say what your campaign is doing. You got to know that. I cannot tell you how many incredibly brilliant people have missed a filing deadline, have realized that there was an administrative roadblock, and then they couldn't run. If that was you, I hate that that's happened to you. I hope that you run again, and just know how common that is, which is why you need to add this. You're going to make a timeline. It's going to include every single priority event where you're running. Every single one. And you're going to source the people in your community in order to do this. You're going to add your personal family events. You're going to add major events that are happening during the course of the election, whether they're in your district or not. And those goals will help you to see those benchmarks will help you to see natural places where your strategy is developing. So imagine it. You've got your timeline. You've got your major administrative benchmarks and timing. You have all of your events. You're starting to see the way that your journey is taking shape. Here comes your strategy. Here it comes. And so now let's get nerdy. This is one of my favorite things. Let's get nerdy. We are going to calculate our win number. We cannot run for office without knowing how many voters that we need to win. For some people, this is going to be a little 101. You know how to do this. But let me tell you something. Knowing your win number and really, really moving your strategy towards it is the secret sauce. And if you are a strategist, knowing how to get to this and work that win number is what is going to set you apart from the pack. Okay? I had the opportunity to learn my win number from an awesome leader in Columbus, Ohio, named Judge Laurel Beatty. When I was 17 years old, she had no idea she was teaching me this, but she was. It was my very first canvas where I showed up at the campaign office, and she was teaching us how to knock on doors. And she said, our win number is 11,434 voters. I'm just making that one up. That wasn't the exact one, but. And you have the opportunity to knock on 50 doors. If you get 50 people to say that they will vote for this campaign, we will have 11,434 voters to get. And in the office was this huge thermometer that had the win number at the top. And every single time canvassers came back, every single time a phone baker came back and they got a yes, I will vote for you, we would mark them off the list. We would make sure that they were logged, because we knew that if we got to those 11,434 voters that we could win. And holding that number at the center of your strategy will mean that you will be focused on the right things and the right people every single time. There is something in politics called the campaign whisperers. These are people in your community. These are other political strategists who just swear they know exactly what you are supposed to be doing. And they are going to drive you mad. They might be driving you mad already. They are going to always have advice for you and tell you what you should be doing and how you can be spending your money. Knowing your win number, knowing who these voters really are, that is what is going to create the confidence for you to say, actually, I don't need to have an add-on every hour on the hour. Actually, I don't need to go to that festival that isn't in my district. Actually, I don't need to seek an endorsement from this person who hates me, because it's not going to actually affect the voters that I want. All right? So, you're going to learn this. You're going to do this. It is going to set you above the rest. Your win number is made up of two important equations. First, your expected voters. You're going to go to your Secretary of State's website. You're going to go to your Board of Elections. Some of you are already connected to the party apparatus. There is something called the voter file. Again, this is a little 101, so you may be really familiar with this. If you don't know the voter file, though, this is where every single registered voter is compiled into a database, and campaigns can buy it and then utilize it for your strategy. Now, there are organizations and political parties who already own it, and if they support you, they will allow for you to use it. That voter file is really important in how you keep your data. And so what we need to know where you're running is how many number of registered voters there are, and we need to know how many of those voters are projected to actually turn out. So what I want you to do is you're going to figure out the number of registered voters in the place that you're running. Just the number of registered voters. Then you're going to see how many of those voters actually vote on election day. Not just any election day, but the election day that matches the election day that you're running in. So if you're running in a midterm election, like the one we have coming up, you're going to want to look at other like midterm elections, like 2024 or 2022. If you're running at a time when nothing else is on the ballot, maybe there's a municipal special election or local primary, you're going to want to make sure that you are looking at elections that look like the turnout of that one. Does that make sense? Let me give you just a national example, okay? This is the Black voter turnout in presidential elections over this last decade. In 2016, we had 59.6% of Black turnout voted. That's 60% of Black people who are registered to vote, they went out. Now that came up in 2020. We had a 25 million person national uprising. We had racial justice at the center. And so we know that there were drivers that allowed for Black people to be encouraged and informed. And so we saw a heightened voter participation. This is really vital in understanding who you can expect to vote. So what I would do if I was calculating my win number is I would take that number of registered voters and I would multiply it by 60%. That number is expected to vote. Okay? Then you're going to take the expected vote number. You're going to divide it by the amount of people that you're running against. Now here on the right, you'll see that I have said 2. Because in November, many of you are just running against one other person. And so what we want to do is we want to take that expected turnout and we want to multiply it, assuming that really you might get half of the vote. In a two-party system, that's actually very, very likely that we are running at a place where we are very much neck and neck. Now, if you are in a district that is very democratic, then you know that your job is to get out voters. But you're going to want to multiply this by the amount of people you're running against and then create a cushion. So in historical, strategy, you're going to add 1 vote because you only need to win by 1. But in this climate where all things are funky, where you want to make sure that you don't just have 1 vote that you've won by, that you have many, I would add several. So I would take your expected vote, divide it by the amount of people you're running against, and then you're going to add like 5 or 6, literally 5 or 6 votes. That's your win number. Okay? Keep trying at this. Depending on the size of your race, you're going to have someone who's going to help you do this. If you are running in a place where you're going to have over 100,000 voters, you're going to want a person who can truly crunch these numbers in a bunch of different ways, give you a lot of different scenarios. But this allows you to create the picture of who you're serving. And now you're going to take that number and you're going to say, who are these people? Who makes up my win number? Where do they live? Where do they shop? Where do they go to school? What do they care about? What do they need from me? What are they asking me to serve? And you are going to take that number. You are going to start to think about the outreach strategies that you need in order to reach out to them. And your most valuable resources of your campaign is your time, your people, and your money. And so now you're building inside of your campaign plan these resources, these ingredients. How much time is it going to take to get to your win number? We talked about this timeline. If you're going to end with your win number on November 3rd, what is it going to take to talk to each of those people over time? Who are the people that you need in order to do it? How many volunteers? How many staff? Your win number helps you see the scale of your outreach program. And then how much is it going to cost to communicate to those voters? I could do so much more on field. I'm just going to dabble in it today. If you want more, I've got more for you. And so I'm going to keep rolling out these lessons. But your money is about talking to voters. You are not just raising money in order to, be on campaign, be on TV. You are raising money so that people are getting the information about you and they're getting the information about when to vote. And so you're going to want to take all of these ingredients and keep layering it in. Let's talk about your team. Let's talk about your team. This may be called different things, and there may be different priorities based on the people that you need and based on the amount of resources. But holistically, I wanted to give you a picture of the type of people who make a campaign run, okay? So, you're going to build the team needed in order to get the votes out. First, you're going to start with your kitchen cabinet. Once you decide that you're running, you are going to make a kitchen cabinet. A kitchen cabinet is essentially your advisory board, your leadership council. They're the people who know you and who know the race and the place that you're running the best. You're going to put together this crew. I like it to be like 5 to 7 people. Any bigger than that is too many cooks in the kitchen. Because you, the candidate, or you, the strategist, campaign manager, you're going to need an independent counsel that you can always go to. And keep looking at your plan. Keep adding ingredients. And this kitchen cabinet also, they're going to make this plan with you. Okay? And so you're going to start there. You're going to host a meeting. You might have a lot of the campaign plan baked, but there are going to be major parts of it that you need support with. You're going to put together a kitchen cabinet that can help you figure out where you need to be, where you need to go. And they're also going to love and respect you enough to always tell you the truth. You're off base on this. This is where we think you should focus. They're going to let you know if you have lipstick in your teeth. They're going to let you know if you didn't do a good job. You know why? Because they want you to win. And then you're going to build out the people who are going to lead this strategy. Your campaign manager, your campaign chair, your treasurer is the person you may see on yard signs and literature that it says your campaign treasurer. This is the person who knows how all your money is being spent. And a lot of times this person isn't working on your campaign. They're just approving it. You're going to want to think about who these people are and make sure that they are reliable enough and have the stamina to move through this with you. I'm not going to be able to go into all of these deeply, but I will continue to share information about how to do this. If you are working on a campaign now that has a November outcome, beloved, look at your team right now. Look at your team. How's everybody doing? This is your opportunity to say, do I have the team that I need? This is your time to hire. This is your time to fire. This is your time to scramble things up. It is your opportunity to genuinely say whether you have the team for the finals you need or not. You might got to scramble your bench. This is about winning. This is about winning. And, I had to learn as a campaign manager to depersonalize some of the decisions that I needed to make. Not that all of this isn't personal. Of course it is. People are making huge sacrifices in order to work on these campaigns, in order to contribute. But let me tell you, it is much more respectful to let somebody know that they are blocking your opportunity to win than to allow them to drag you down and the people that you're trying to serve not get a good elected. So take seriously what it means to make a team that can truly get you to where you need to go. And this is your job, candidate. This is your job. Your job is to lead by example. Your job is to set the tone. Your job is to tell the people how you will make their lives better. I said here how to make their job better. I mean their life, their community, their family. Your job, candidate, is to make news. It's to make news. Everything that you do should be an opportunity to talk to the voters that you need, to make that win number. Crank it, crank it, crank it. At all times, having that win number at the forefront of any invitation that you get, any type of speaking you get, okay? Your job, candidate, is to talk to as many voters in your district as humanly possible. It's not just to talk to the people that agree with you, it's to talk to the people you are going to represent. Your job is to raise the budget that you need. I'm going to do Money, Power, and Respect is our 4th class. I hope that you come. I'm going to talk about raising money. I'm going to talk about the budget. So come back here in 2 classes. If you are leading a campaign, if you are running for office, campaign finance is a bear. I am not going to lie to you, okay? Campaigns are getting more and more expensive. It is really frustrating. There are so many systemic barriers to this. But the only way that you can talk to voters is if you have money to do it. So you're going to have to raise money, you're going to have to talk about money, and you're going to have to know how it's being spent. And for the campaign operatives out there, it was when I learned how to manage a campaign budget that helped me to get the big jobs. So if you're out there and you want to make this your career, if you're like, I've actually been working in the field, I've been an organizer, I want to manage, I want to be the chief strategist of a campaign, learning how to manage a budget and really understanding how money should be spent, that's going to set you above the rest. I highly encourage it. And if you're in a position right now where you can just take a chunk of your strategy and manage that so that you can see your outcomes, it's going to make you a killer, okay? And then your final job, baby, as a candidate, is to make sure that every single vote is counted. On election day, you don't give up once the voters are voting. You are going to take it to the very last minute and ensure that the people you promised you would serve, that their votes are counted, all right? Now, if you are campaign leadership, this is me and one of my most favorite bosses ever, Stacey Abrams. This was right after Black Panther came out, and she had just given a powerful speech. So I was showing her I was part of her Wakanda. But if you're in leadership, you're also raising money. You're also multiplying and stomping the message. You are directing and setting the vision, but you're internally managing the team. As the candidate is out there working those voters, you are saying to the team, you're weaving everybody together and saying, this is how you fit. This is how you're a part of the strategy. You're reminding the candidate about what the team is doing, and you're telling the team about what the candidate is doing. You are the conductor of the campaign. This is such an important job. It's exciting. And if you are a candidate who is preparing your campaign manager is your right hand. Choosing someone who is a good fit for you and who can actually multiply what you can't do and what you shouldn't be doing is a good thing. And your field director, this is where I started in the field. I don't know why we call it that. It is so bizarre. I try to say outreach and engagement and organizing as much as possible, but on campaigns we call it the field. And the field represents this district, this landscape of voters that I'm talking about. And your field director knows that map. They know where that win number is inside of your district, okay? And they're going to do everything that they can in order to get those voters. So they manage your voter engagement program. They manage the doors, the phones, any sort of direct outreach. There is so much creative outreach now. There is so much creative outreach. And so you're going to take your campaign plan and you're going to think about how you are going to get to all of those voters. It used to be, when I started managing campaigns, over 15 years ago, the dominant kind of understanding about voter outreach is that it took 5 to 7 times of one voter to hear your name or to hear, the information you want in order to get them to vote. Now, a decade plus, it's 15 times. They say it's 12 to 15 times of hearing the candidate's name, of hearing the election day, of hearing the instructions that a voter even begins to remember you. And so what I want you to do in your campaign plan is, as you look at your plan, how are you creating 12 to 15 touches per constituency, per voter? And that is all sorts of things. Your field director is going to allow you to do this. So it's important for me to say here that not every campaign is going to have an individual person for all of these. Some of our scrappy campaigns, we have one person who are doing 2 or 3 jobs. And that just is what it is. That is what it is. But all of these jobs need a position, okay? It needs an owner. And so even if you're not going to be able to hire and pay a person full time, I want you to think about your campaign around these buckets of work. All right, y'all good? Your field director is building the base. They're building the base. And that's what you're doing right now too. So many people are going to convince you that there's actually this voter. They're just mad at you. And they might vote Republican. They might vote for your opponent, but if you just beg them in the right way, they will vote for you. And there is certainly in every single strategy an opportunity to persuade. But beloveds, at Black Campaign School, we center the base in our outreach strategy. And the base are all of the people that you already know will vote. The people that you already know share your values. The people that you already know are excited about you. You are going to take those people and you are going to multiply them. You are going to make sure that every one of them has 5 people who are moving into the voting booth with them. And it is that way that we go from 60% of our folks voting to 70, 80%. And we're not talking about what the opponent is doing. We're talking about what our people is doing. So we got to build the base. Your field director, your outreach plan, they are engaging in transformation versus extraction. And that means that while you're convincing voters of this short-term win, you're talking about long-term power. How is what you are doing building a long-term commitment to the people where you're leading? And these are some of the ways that I've done this. And now listen, for whether you're running right now or in the future, I highly recommend some of this. It's going to seem really simple, but it is an opportunity for you to check in, like I keep saying. So, people power. You are going to debate over and over again with people about the voters who need the most, the voters who should be getting your time and people and money resources. And I deeply, deeply encourage you to know enough people in each of the communities where you're organizing so that you have a consistent flow of information. One of my favorite tricks for every campaign, no matter the size, whether it was a city council race or a governor's race or a U.S. Senate race, is I would take a map of the place, the state, district, county, etc. And I would take evenly distributed push pins. And I learned this from Mathoni Wambu-Crawl. If she's watching, she's who taught me to train, one of my best bosses. And you take it throughout the district where you are running. And you start to build an outreach program based on that distribution. What are the events that are happening? What are the festivals? Where is there a person who could host a house party, a block party for you? And you start to map the community resources around it. Where are the people in that place going to get food? Where are they getting additional community resources if they don't have access to them? And so you're going to start to compile that into your outreach plan. You're going to gather more than voting information. You're not just going to tell the people to vote on November 3rd. You are also going to tell them about how they can engage in their community long term. So your outreach should reflect how you will govern. And I want you to prepare for co-governance. I would love to say a lot more about this. There are some incredible organizations who do co-governance work. One of our national leaders on this, or Southern leaders, is Rukia Lumumba. I know Project South is another great organization who has a lot of resources on co-governance. But across the South, elected candidates, leaders have developed infrastructure called People's Movement Assemblies that allow for elected leaders to be in consistent co-governance with their constituents. And so an example is in Jackson, Mississippi, where they created a People's Assembly to ensure that the mayor who ran on co-governance was writing the budget of the city with the people, that were setting the priorities of the city with the people. This map is the beginning of co-governance. Not only are you building this outreach, but then as you win and have the opportunity to govern, you're going to see where you can build then information channels, where you can go and present your legislative priorities to people, where you can ensure that there's a consistent drumbeat of your message and what's happening in the community. This protects you. This allows you to keep building and to be even bolder. All right. I'm moving quickly towards major strategy, but sit with all of this, okay? Sit with all of this because each of this creates this broader piece. And I will say, a lot of what I'm sharing with you, I have done on all levels of campaigns. And this is another example. So now we're going to talk about messaging. We talked about people power, again, a skim on that. You in your planning are going to take this seriously, and you're going to keep coming back to Black Campaign School, where we are going to take people power incredibly seriously. You are going to build your message of your campaign based on what you are hearing from the people. Yes, you are going to have you're going to have what keeps you up at night. You're going to have what you know you can lead on. But you are not going to just talk about what you think. You are going to be informed enough on your people to talk about what they think. And your campaign plan gives you an opportunity to prepare for attacks from your opponent's campaign. And this next tool is one of the ways in which we do that. This is called the Tully Message Box. It is tried and true. Paul Tully was a prolific Democratic strategist. He worked on the Obama campaign, including many others. There is a lot of really cool footage of different campaigns utilizing this tool. What you're going to do is you're going to gather your campaign team, you're going to gather your kitchen cabinet, and you're going to create a table that looks just like this. You're going to say, I learned this from Bird at Black Campaign School, and I made this message box. And it's going to have 4 quadrants. It's going to have what we say about our opponent, what our opponent says about us, what they say about them, and what we say about us. You're going to move through this exercise with folks, or with your campaign strategy team, and you're going to say, okay, I typically do this from bottom right moving up. So you start with you. Start with us on us. What are you saying about yourself? You're a people powered champion. You're going to run in order to advance environmental rights. You are a family person who cares about the people. You're accountable. You, etc., right? And then what you're going to start to do is to build out what you might say about your opponent and what your opponent will say about you. Now, you're not going to do this in a politically correct way when you get out your table. You're going to do this in the privacy of your own meeting, because you're actually going to want to talk that you are actually going to want to tell the truth, okay? So when you start talking about what your opponent is going to say about you, let it out. They're going to call you nasty, trifling, low down. They're going to say you're a liar. They're going to say all sorts of things about you. You need to prepare for that. 10 years ago, I might have given us some sort of preamble where I'm talking about how, some people don't get nasty and you just are going to want to gather information just in case. No, I'm going to keep it real with you. People are nasty. They're personal. Not always. It doesn't always get like that. But you're going to want to be prepared for people to be talking about you in a way that does not feel comfortable, and where you don't spend a lot of time away from your strategy on it, okay? This is called inoculation, campaign inoculation, where you are preparing to inoculate yourself against the opposition's attacks on you, okay? All right, a little bit more to go. If you have any questions, I hope that you will share any of those with me. If you got any love for me, I hope that you will do that. Hey, I see y'all. Oh, I didn't even have it on the right comments. Y'all have been making your comments and I didn't even see them. Oh my gosh. Okay, my opponent did a hit piece that I was out of touch. It was very infuriating. Period, right? They do not have to tell the truth. Now, there are absolutely rules about some of this. They can't defame you. They're not allowed to lie, but you are not going to have time to inoculate on all of this. And so you want to be prepared for people to be their worst selves. It doesn't mean that you are going to be their worst self, but let me tell y'all something. Strategist to strategist, okay? Strategist to strategist. I do want you to think about electoral campaigning in these seasons. And in fact, I'm going to give you seasons, and I'm also going to add as bouts, as if you're in a ring, okay? As if you are in the boxing ring. And each bout, you are taking your offensive stance, and you are going to try to land that hit on them so that it stumbles them back. Now, I'm not talking about violence for real. I'm a pacifist, okay? I don't want no real violence, but I am talking about strategy, okay? You want to make sure that you land a punch, okay? On some of the biggest campaigns, when I really look back, there were times when our opponents landed an attack on us and we could not get out from under it. All we did was spend the rest of the time defending ourselves. You do not want that to be you. You want to make sure that you know the moments where you're introducing yourself, the moments where you are talking about how you are not that other guy, that you are this person, that you are who you are. And you're going to want to have moments where you are truly defining who they are, and you are even making them stumble back and losing their footing, okay? Yeah, keep telling me about what's happening to y'all. Tell me where you're running. If you are currently running, let me know. I want to hear your questions. All right, let's finish this up. I said a lot. There's so much more to say. I hope that you all are getting some nuggets out of this. Even if you're not running for office, I hope that you can see how building momentum through a planning process can really allow you to win some big things. So I want to talk next about July questions, okay? I'm calling them this because this is that 100 days. We are within the window that we can make so much possible for November. We are within a window where all of our possibilities for 2028 are still present. And so take this moment. What were you trying to do? Who were you really trying to talk to? What resources have you spent? How have those resources landed? What information do you have, and how can you take a look at that information and allow it to help you make good decisions? Where is your untapped magic? What are ways that you could be more efficient? This is an opportunity in July for you to get that kitchen cabinet and assess everything. Okay, maybe it is that you need more money. Candidates always need more money. But what are the resources beyond money that you haven't even asked for? There are lists that people have. There is somebody right now in your community that could push a button and get people to the event that you want, that could get people to post your message that you haven't even asked to do that yet. This is your opportunity to do that. And then I want you to prepare for early vote. The moment Labor Day hits, most people start to vote. Early voting is actually a phenomenon of the last 15 years. Shout out to progressive organizers, shout out to Barack Obama, shout out to the democracy space that said we shouldn't just have one election day. We need to have a month where people can go. So some people it's a week, some people it's a month, a couple months. You need to know when early vote starts. Early vote is your election day. And if you have early voting starting at the end of August, you should have a GOTV plan right now. What does GOTV mean? Get out the vote. Get out the vote. I used to think this was like about TV, but it's not. Get out the vote. It is getting every single person that you've been organizing and preparing to the ballot box. And so you need to assess your plan. If you want to get them there, what is each intervention to get them? What is every single outreach? Do you need to shift your message right now? This is not a place. A campaign is not a big nonprofit organization that has a 10-year strategic plan and they have to make sure that they stick with that plan. No. Change course if you need to. Do not commit to a strategy that cannot get you over the finish line. For what? Even if it makes someone mad, even if it feels like a risk, your job is to consistently be helping people to see your strategy and make good decisions. So you're going to set clear priorities. You're going to make really swift decisions. If you're a manager, if you're a candidate out there right now, and you're thinking about the qualities that you need in order to do a good job, your judgment is absolutely one of them. I have the opportunity and privilege to mentor so many people, so many young Black women who want to manage campaigns, which I love. If you want to connect with me, I would love to connect with you. They asked me about the different steps that I took, how I got to where I am. It was my judgment. It was knowing my own opinion. It was always having my own perspective on what our strategy should be. This is a lost art nowadays. And so what you're going to want to do is tap into that judgment. Tap into that intuition of what the people really need so that when it comes down to it, you can make those swift decisions. And what I'm talking about is the debate where your opponent calls you out and completely changes your message for the next 5 days. I'm talking about something terrible happening to a supporter. I'm talking about an open seat in your election that you didn't expect that completely changes your win number. You need to be able to make swift decisions and move on a dime. This allows that to happen, and you are going to need to get comfortable with pivoting. You're going to set forth a big vision, you're going to put it all together, and then it's going to change 30, 40 times. But the power of that is that you're leading and changing it. And that winning energy, you're going to bring that winning energy in everything that you do. I'm oftentimes remarked on my personality, why I'm always happy, am I always this nice? And the answer is no. Like, I'm mad like everybody else. I can be tough like everybody else. I can hold people accountable and fire like everybody else. But I believe deeply in my heart the power of the people. It motivates me. It makes me excited. It wakes me up every day. And I do see that my job is to set that tone on every campaign or team that I lead. And I encourage you to do that. Go hard for the people. Get up there. Be willing to inspire. Do not hold back. Do not hold back. There is no reason why you got to keep it cute or act like things aren't at stake or act like you don't totally love the people that you're working with or serving. Tell them. That is that winning energy. This is what we're all doing together. How exciting. I want to invite you into an opportunity to participate in your democracy. How amazing. I believe in you. I believe that you're powerful. I see our power together. Give it to them, okay? And then you're going to thank everybody over and over and over again. You're going to thank the voters for coming out. You're going to thank your volunteers. You're going to thank your donors. You're going to thank your staff over and over and over again. You're going to thank your family and friends. You know why? Because you're going to be asking a lot of everybody. And not only are you going to ask a lot of them when you're running, you're going to ask a lot of them when you're governing. And one secret sauce to that winning energy is believing that you're multiplying and adding at every step. By thanking people, showing gratitude, showing that people are a part of a bigger picture, you're going to be able to ask for more and more and more. And in a right relationship with your supporters and your constituents, they will defend you. They will protect you. They will support you as you go out and are really brave and have to put yourself out there, okay? And so you're going to want to lead with not just an attitude of gratitude, but with a belief that we are all moving forward together. Woo! So with that, I'm going to bring us home. I hope that you got something out of this time together. I'm going to be right back here next week for the State of Black Voters. If you've got questions, I hope that you put them in the chat. I hope that you DM me. I'm on social media and all of these different places. I'm on TikTok, I'm Bird's Words, I'm on Substack, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm on IG at Black Camp Bird and Black Campaign School. So let me know. What are you thinking about? Do you have really specific stories, really specific questions? I would love to hear them. I would love to answer them in this space. If you send them over the next 24 hours, I would love to answer them online. I could get on live and answer them. And keep coming back to Black Campaign School. I'm going to build on this every single week. And by the time we get to November, we're going to see the full picture of how our power is moving. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm so thankful for your leadership and your courage in this moment. Be willing to do what others won't do. Create a culture of care everywhere you go. Be willing to build a world that you say that you want. Govern while you're campaigning. Experiment, innovate while you're campaigning. Demonstrate deep respect to the voters and the people making this possible. And win. Win. I'll be thinking about you. I'll be cheering you on. And I look forward to seeing you next week. So much love to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. Are we gonna win? Yes, we're gonna win. I love that, Maggie. Yes. Are we gonna win? And what time is it? It is absolutely Black Camp time. And I'll actually sign off by saying, join us next week. But in the meantime, I am hosting 2 gatherings. They're nonprofit gatherings. They're completely free. They are not political in nature. They're about Black leaders having an opportunity to be together, reconnect, be really, really smart. Black Camp Columbus is in September and Black Camp Las Vegas is in September. So check out black.camp and keep coming back and I'll tell you more. So much love. Thank you. Thank you to the team. See y'all soon.